They say money can buy almost anything. But in the early hours of April 15, 1912, when the Titanic slipped beneath the freezing waters of the North Atlantic, money could not buy survival. In fact, some of the richest and most powerful men in the world went down with the ship. Their fortunes, their influence. Powerless against physics, human error, and the arrogance of an age that believed progress had conquered nature. They had wealth that could move markets, shape governments, and finance empires. Yet in those few desperate hours, what mattered was not gold, nor stocks, nor estates, but space in a lifeboat. And most of them never got one. What makes this story more than a maritime tragedy, is the financial dimension. The men who died on that ship were not just passengers. They were the custodians of immense capital, the financiers of railroads, steel, banking, and international trade. Their deaths represented the collapse of dynasties, the sudden transfer of wealth, and the reshaping of financial systems. Let's begin with John Jacob Astor IV. At 47, Astor was one of the wealthiest men alive. His fortune, derived from real estate and inheritance, was estimated at over $87 million in 1912. Adjusted for inflation, that translates to billions today. The Titanic was his honeymoon trip home. Eyewitnesses recall him helping his young, pregnant wife into a lifeboat, and then stepping back, resigned. He asked if he could join her. The crew refused. Wealth, power, status, none of it mattered in that moment. He was last seen smoking a cigarette on the deck, moments before the ocean claimed him. His fortune passed to his unborn child. Then there was Benjamin Guggenheim. Heir to the mining fortune, a playboy of immense indulgence. When the reality of the sinking became clear, he made a decision that has passed into legend. He changed into evening clothes, and reportedly told a steward, "We've dressed up in our best, and are prepared to go down like gentlemen." His death was symbolic of an old-world elite, clinging to dignity even at the cost of life. But history is cold. What remained were the financial ripples, shifts in the Guggenheim family empire, and the recognition that even dynasties built on industrial power could be decapitated in a single night. Another powerful figure was Isidor Strauss, co-owner of Macy's department store. He and his wife Ida were offered seats on lifeboats. She refused. "We have lived together for many years, and where you go, I go." They died side by side. Here was the American retail magnate, undone not by financial mistakes, but by ice in the night. His death revealed that wealth insulated, but it did not make one immortal. The roster goes on. George Whittier, heir to a Philadelphia fortune, perished. Their loss altered the trajectory of one of America's great families, redirecting fortunes, and even resulting in the construction of Harvard's Whittier Library, a monument born of tragedy. To understand the Titanic fully, you must place it in its economic history. The year 1912 Saturday on the edge of cataclysm. The world was basking in the illusion of stability. The wealthy elite lived in a bubble of opulence, the embodiment of the Gilded Age. The ship itself was a monument to this mindset, marketed as unsinkable. And yet, when the iceberg ripped the hull open, the financial system of privilege collapsed into cold mathematics. There were only enough lifeboats for about half the passengers. No amount of influence could change that equation. When the Titanic sank, it was not only bodies that disappeared beneath the water, but also the stability of financial empires. The deaths meant abrupt changes in inheritance, sudden shifts of capital, and even the birth of new philanthropic institutions. Inheritance law was tested in unprecedented ways. Consider Astor's death again. His young widow was entitled to a substantial portion, but faced years of public scrutiny. The fortune, once concentrated in the hands of a single patriarch, became divided, reshaped by trusts, and consumed by legal wrangling. A dynasty that had seemed unshakable was now vulnerable. The Guggenheim fortune endured, but Benjamin Guggenheim's death accelerated its consolidation under his brothers. His flamboyant lifestyle had drained millions, and his loss in the icy Atlantic meant less risk of dissipation through playboy indulgence. In a strange way, his death preserved the core of the fortune by cutting off his excesses. Fortunes never simply vanish. They are redirected, reshaped, repurposed. Beyond the families, the Titanic revealed something more fundamental. Wealth has limits. Privilege can be rendered meaningless by physical reality. First-class passengers had higher survival rates. Money did buy better access to lifeboats. But even among the rich, death was not avoidable. The richest man on the ship drowned alongside the poorest immigrant. Money and power created probabilities, not certainties. Now, think about what this means for us today. The Titanic's story mirrors the fragility of our financial world. The ship was marketed as unsinkable, just as markets are often treated as invincible. Investors in 2008 were told that housing prices could never fall. Crypto advocates in 2021 insisted Bitcoin could never crash. The iceberg always comes. The Titanic illustrates another timeless truth. Wealth concentration does not guarantee survival. Today, billionaires build underground bunkers and talk about escaping to Mars. But history suggests that no matter how much money you have, the system you rely on can fail you. Just as Astor's billions could not secure him a place in a lifeboat, modern fortunes may prove useless in the face of systemic collapse. And here lies the paradox. While money cannot prevent catastrophe, it determines who suffers first. On the Titanic, third-class passengers were locked behind gates and given lower survival odds. Their poverty was a sentence. Today, financial inequality plays the same role. In a global crisis, the poor are always the first to drown. So, what do we learn? First, that wealth must never blind us to risk. Confidence in the unsinkable is always dangerous. Second, that fortunes are fragile. No dynasty is immune to sudden transfer or decay. Third, that survival in crisis depends less on status and more on preparation. The lesson is personal. Financial education is not just about making money. It is about understanding risk, protecting yourself from overconfidence, and building real wealth that can endure shocks. The Titanic shows us that the financial system is not a guarantee of safety. It is a tool, powerful, but limited. It is every economic bubble, every global crisis, every collapse of overconfidence. In each case, the rich thought they were safe. In each case, the system failed them. The Titanic reminds us that legacy matters. The rich men who died did not take their money with them. Their wealth was transferred, reshaped, repurposed. Money is not permanent, it is a tool we hold temporarily. The question is not how much you have, but how well you use it while you do. History does not repeat, but it does echo. The Titanic echoes every time someone declares the financial system indestructible. And unless we learn, it will echo again with consequences just as devastating.